Good morning, starshine.
Welcome to the real world. Whoa! Mortgage your house and buy Bitcoin with Breathe Air. There's no second best, okay?
Breathe Air, GM, Sunday, 10th of November. And I'm going to break down these weekend pumps. So if you've seen daily levels. If you've seen daily levels, I'll have mentioned how it's very rare to see these hyper bullish front running weekends. So I want to take a quick look at how they form and how you can view them. Some tendencies that they have. So on the left here, you'll see the two daily candles that I mentioned. So this is July, the Trump assassination attempt. And the two, so a green Saturday, green Sunday, which leads to a bullish momentum move the next week. So very common. Some things you'd look for in a bullish weekend would be, number one, look at the lows of the daily candles. The lows are very either no wick or have a very small wick. And it sets the low early in the day. So on the right-hand side of a 15-minute chart of the same thing on the left. The left is a daily, the right is 15-minute. A bullish weekend is characterized generally, it's not always, but generally a bullish weekend is characterized by it closes Friday and whoever it is has such an expectation, and it's not one person, but generally, let's call it the market, the smart money, has an expectation that the next week is going to be bullish. And so you will see abnormally strong price action on a weekend. What is strong price action? Because what happens with people on the weekend is they look at it through a lens of too zoomed in. So if you're too zoomed in on this 15-minute chart, you might be all over the place because there's like this wick down whenever the assassination attempt happened, and there's a pump up, and then it drops back, and it looks bad, and it looks good, and it looks... Just focus on what's actually occurring at times of the day. So Saturday's open, so the yellow line is Saturday's open, the yellow line is Sunday's close. So it's the entire weekend on a 15-minute. It sets the low early. Obviously, this entire thing falls within a 15-minute uptrend. It doesn't have to, but we'll show stuff later. It sets the low early in the day, right? And then typically is strongest into the daily close. So pumping into the close, sets the low early, pumps into the close. Then, the very next day, that's just here, sets the low early on literally the first candle, right? The very first candle sets the low. That's it there. That's it. That's the daily low. And again, that's an identifier of strong demand stepping in, the market's marching higher. And essentially what people are looking at is maybe on Friday, because there was a little sell-off in this instance, it was sell-off Thursday, sell-off Friday, people de-risk. They're like, oh, I'm going to sell some crypto. Doesn't matter. Don't worry, I can buy back later on. And then it goes up on Saturday. Like, yeah, I don't trust Saturdays. It goes up on Sunday. Yeah, we don't trust Sundays. And then suddenly, where they maybe de-risk going into the weekend, because a lot of TradFi will do this, traders will do this, they will sell, take profits, de-risk before the weekend. And most of the time, that's okay. Most of the time, if you sell on Friday afternoon, you can buy back on Monday at roughly the same price. That's why the CME gap is usually filled. That's why the market tends to open on a Monday. It tends to open roughly where it closed on a Friday. And if it opens higher or lower, it tends to go and revisit it. And you're like, yeah, I could just close my position on a Friday, reopen it on a Monday. But every now and then, you don't get that chance. And you're sidelined. In terms of just if you're talking about like a trader or someone who's positioning, thinking, yeah, I'll just offload some risk here on Friday evening. We'll buy it back Monday. So you sell at 57.8. And next thing it's Monday and it's 62. And you're like, well, that was a weekend. I mean, that's all going to reverse. And so you're sitting there like, this is going to happen. We're going to buy back in, and never happens. Then the chasing begins. Now, in this instance, obviously, like later on, it does come back there. But the point being, momentum. Let's look at some other ones. I want to look at these. This next one is good. Probably more important because it's more bullish. That one we just showed was not in a bullish phase of the market. This is. Obviously right now we're breaking all-time high today, 80k. Like it's undeniably a bullish part of the market, right? So let's do the same thing and you'll see the same tendency. We go to Saturday. Saturday's open over here. Okay, Saturday's open. and then you go to Monday's open. And here's our weekend. So in this example, we had a very bullish Friday, right? So this is the opposite to the one before. Before we had a sideways Thursday, bullish, sideways / bearish Thursday, Friday. So people would think of de-risking maybe going into the weekend. This actually similar in that when you have such a strong Thursday and a strong Friday, sometimes people think, oh, well, we've had a great week. Wednesday big, Thursday big, Friday big. Friday's close with a bit of a wick. I'm going to sell a bit, and it starts to move down here, going into Friday's close. You're like, I think I should sell off. There might be a leverage flush at the weekend. I might be able to buy back lower at the weekend. These are all the thoughts that go through people's mind. Wednesday was so good. Thursday was so good. Friday was so good. The weekend, surely there's going to be, weekend's probably going to have some nasty leverage wick to catch the late longs. So again, you're thinking, oh, here, like that's going to go like that and it's going to wipe everyone out and I'll buy back lower and you'll set some orders there. And again, you get sidelined and front run. Because not to like a crazy extent in this one, but Friday opens, it sets the low relatively early, right? First half of the day, right? So it sets the low here, just sweeps it out. This would be like the candle where you're thinking, oh, this is going to go way lower and take out all those moon boys from Friday. Nope. And the fact that it doesn't, the fact that we had such a strong trend, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, going into Saturday, the fact that it tried to break down here and couldn't, it couldn't even flush wick, it couldn't even have a flush wick to take out stops down there, that's a really strong sign. Because if any time you're going to run the stops or you're going to have a liquidation wick, it's going to be at the weekend when it's the lowest liquidity period. So the fact that there isn't anything more than just that, that's it. That's Saturday, done. And of course, Saturday again, it rallies into the close. So Saturday rallies up into the close, about 9 p.m. We then open Sunday. And what happens on Sunday? The low gets set very early. That's 1:30 UTC. The low gets set right off the open, pumps. And then it holds and it pumps right on the Monday open. Right, so again, strength into the close is a key feature of these bullish weekends. Strength into the close. That one then continues on and drops back a little bit on Monday morning before continuing its grind higher. You all know what happened with Bitcoin over there. Key thing here. Sunday comes in higher than Friday. And even on the Monday dip, it does not come back to the Friday levels. It holds the 15-minute trend all the way here. It goes as low as the 200. But the important part here again, it's front running. The idea of front running is that it doesn't just come back to visit your, the place you want to get back in later on. It doesn't just come back on Monday because you got yourself sidelined. That's the whole point. It can come back days or weeks later. It just doesn't generally do it right after the weekend if you get these strong closes. And we'll look at one more just so you can see the tendency. Now, what should you be seeking to achieve from this? If you're a day trader, you can build systems around this. If you are a position trader or a swing trader or you're holding crypto, you can identify how the weekend price action looks. And over time, keep your journal, keep your log, keep your notes, study the weekends. Over time, you can start to identify, okay, as a spot holder, what does this weekend look like from a price action perspective? Is it a strong weekend? Is it a neutral weekend? Is it a bearish weekend? It's all meant to help you identify that. Same thing here. 2nd and 3rd of December, Sunday pump, Saturday pump, Sunday pump. Total of 3.3% up. You see the same thing again. We set the low of the day basically on the first candle, right? First candle and come and retest it a few hours later. And then pumps into the close. Pumps at about 7 p.m, stays up there until the close. Closes about here. So basically pumps the second half of Saturday. Again, why? Well, now look at this. Anyone who took some profit or de-risked on Friday has seen this crazy Saturday pump. You're like, fuck me, I'm not buying on a Saturday. Well, you're going to get F sidelined. Again, not always. This is rare. I'm just showing you how it happens when it happens. We go into Sunday. Sunday sets us low there. There it is. 3 a.m. Small dip down into support. That's it. That's Sunday's low. Done. We never go back. And away it goes. Consolidates throughout the day. When you start to see these, if you do see consolidation as well, if you're seeing consolidation and you start to see these little tests like that, little tests of liquidity below the supply, below the high, it's usually gearing up for a bigger move. And what does it do? Pumps into the close. Pumps into 10:30 p.m. quick flush back, and then away it goes into Monday. So back to today then. How does this look now? You've now seen that. How do we look today? Well, let's take the whole weekend. We've obviously seen the bullish Saturday, bullish Sunday, and bullish Sundays began. But let's break it down and let's compare it to those other weeks. And Sunday close here. So Saturday was much more of a consolidation day, I would say. We set a low early, but then we had a nice little flush down. Now, remember, what did we have last week? A bullish week. What would happen on the bullish week after that on the weekend? People are like, oh, some of these longs, right? Look at all these longs building up. And the single most bullish thing that happened this weekend was this. Doesn't seem like much. It was that. It was the inability for Saturday's leverage flush, this small flush, to take out Friday's low. It couldn't take out Friday's low. It came right down to it, and it came right down towards it. It couldn't even take it out. Higher low, higher low, higher low. That's really important. That's a sign of, that's literally front running. Front running is where the market does not reach levels where people want to buy. It front runs them. So in seeing that, you can see this really clear pattern of bullish behavior where the low gets set sort of actually in the evening, and then we rally into the close. Very important. Rallies into the close. Sunday's low opens up. So we didn't set a low early on Saturday. Well, we did. We set a low early on Saturday and then we swept it. So we went for a leverage flush, which didn't flush. Sign of bullishness, right? The market's getting support on the weekend. Rally into the close. Sunday's low is like here. Sunday's low was set on the first candle wick. Very bullish. The first dip down, that's it. That's Sunday's low. And we're probably not going to revisit that. It'd be very unlikely for this whole thing to unwind, in my opinion. However, this is very strong, even compared to the previous weeks we showed. This is a very, very strong move. So I would expect that it gets pretty choppy from here. Yeah, I would expect that we probably see price moving between these levels. And if you see it sort of easing off, if you see it holding, well, more likely, if this becomes support around the 50 and you see it just holding at this level and starting to move up into the weekly close, that's when it's going to go way off on Sunday. So what you really want on Monday, what you really want to see here, believe it or not, I mean, you could see this actually. If it just goes up like that, that's incredibly bullish, right? So essentially, if price holds the 15-minute bands and just goes up in this kind of channel fashion and breaks out, that's just insane. Otherwise, though, if it's going to be this kind of trap where people are like, oh, that was it, that was the top, 80k, it's going to zero, whatever, it should not break but much below 78.8. It should probably hold like the 50 EMA on the 15-minute. It should just hold the 15-minute trend. And mostly you want to see compression, where it makes lows, lower highs and lower lows. So lower highs and higher lows, right? It doesn't take out the highs, it doesn't take out the lows to any significant extent. And you just see the market consolidate. Now this is going to look bearish if you're too zoomed in. So if you're too zoomed in, when it's over here, it's going to be like, oh, this is bad, right? We've touched down, we failed to go higher, head and shoulders, whatever. And if the market just continues to hold and creep up into the weekly close, you know what's happening Monday. So that's it. We'll see. Weekly outlook. Be there, 5 p.m. UTC. I will also be live for this. I will do a weekly open stream at midnight tonight. Why not? GM.